How many of you have seen videos like this?
So why is he jumping at me?
Hello, good morning, sir.
Yes.
Please, what can I do for
This
you?
is a federal high court.
Yes, we are.
Bring a court official. I'll talk to the person.
I'm here. I'm a policeman.
Oh, you have a senior. How are you? You are not a court official. You are allowed EFCC to be flying at people in court.
A lot of people think that Sowore hates Nigerian police officers because of the viral videos we've seen of him confronting these police officers. But what people don't know is that he's one of the few persons who are actually protesting for their welfare. Nigerian police officers are suffering. Some of them are being underpaid and they are overworking themselves. Today, Sowore has something to tell Nigerians about the Nigerian police force. Please, everybody should listen.
Policemen are not motivated to even fight crime anymore. They have become the crime that they are supposed to be fighting against because of survival. You have instances where policemen are paid 20,000 naira per month as pension. Sometimes they don't even pay them for a year after retirement. You cannot ask somebody to be protecting a bank that disburses or deals in billions and billions of naira. And the policeman who is helping you guard the bank is living in penury. Without policemen, I don't think anybody can leave their house. The senator can't leave his house. The president cannot leave his house. The vice president, the governors. No one can function in a society without police.
Sir, we see your videos, you're fighting, you're confronting these police officers, yet you are still the same person fighting for their welfare. Why?
Well, police officers have two sides to them. There's the official side, and then there's the human side. The human side is what I'm connected with. The official side is what I've always fought against. And it has to do with how they conduct themselves in uniform, how they engage in corruption, they engage in torture, they sometimes plant evidence on people. I have a general disdain for abuse of power. So most of the time you see me fighting against them, it is because they've abused power. And the time now that I'm fighting for them is because they're also a reflection of society. They're also part of our families. They're workers. They go to the same schools we send our children to. They go to hospitals we go to. Sometimes they can't even afford to go to hospital. And most importantly, we see them after they're done with 35 years of service, how they're poorly paid. That's if they're paid at all in terms of gratuity and pension. So I actually found out about their condition because I was having a confrontation with a police officer in a place called Oshodi in Lagos. I thought he was going to ask me for a bribe, and it turns out that he knew who I was. And he asked if we could meet, and I met him, and he said, please, I just want to let you know I'm retiring next year, but my pension, my gratuity take-home, which is what they get paid, bulk money, is going to be 1.6 million naira.
After 35 years of service.
5 years. And I said to him, are you serious? He said, yes. I said, but I know of senators who are taking home 29 million naira, which is close to 30 million naira on a monthly basis. That means a Nigerian senator who barely go to work or whose work can be described as part-time will take home in a month the gratuity of 15 police officers at the level of an assistant superintendent of police. I said to him, this is unconscionable. Let me take it from here. This was about 2022, 2023, and I have been talking about their welfare since then. But don't forget that in 2020, when we had the NSAS struggle against the police, part of the demands regarding NSAS was actually about police welfare. But because of the way they actually sabotaged, partly they were part of the people who sabotaged NSAS, and that demand, which was called 5 to 5 or 5+5, whichever way was couched in those days, was not met because policemen were more interested in oppressing and suppressing the agitation for better policing and the desire for us to stop torture and police abuse, that they forgot that the demand for their own betterment was involved in NSAS struggle. Yes.
Now, thinking about Nigerian police officers, do you think that the government is deliberately keeping them poor for a reason?
It's just not about police officers. All government workers are being deliberately underpaid. See, there are two classes of citizens in this country, in an area you can call the workforce. Those who are overpaid and those who are underpaid. Those who earn minimum wage and those who earn maximum wage. The maximum wage guys, nobody knows how they calculate their wage, but you see how they live. They live in mansions, they have several cars, and they're government workers. And we know that comes from corruption mostly. And then sometimes, even those who don't engage in corruption but earn maximum wage do a lot better. For instance, the person who works at the NNPC, they have salaries, wages, emoluments, they have travel allowances that's unconscionable. The same thing happens to senators, lawmakers, presidents, vice president, governors. Governors have what they call security vote that is unaccounted for. You just take a lump amount of money from the state allocation, not less than $1 billion for any state or close to. That's the estimate across board. And these guys just spend it whichever way they like, and that's how they make money, apart from, of course, skimming off kickbacks from contracts and directly stealing from the state coffers. But then you have workers, both state, local government, and federal levels, who are paid a minimum wage. And there's a difference between minimum wage and living wage. A minimum wage is the least amount of salary or payment made to a worker at the end of a work week, work month, and it is always done by law. Whether it helps them to live or not, the system don't care. That is what we are dealing with. And the gratuity and pension of a police officer, we're using police now as an example, is dependent on their minimum wage, because it's a deduction of their minimum wage. So if you are paid 20,000 naira as a police officer at the end of the month, only a portion of that will go into a central pool. And it is that aggregate that is paid to you at the end of your service, 35 years. So it is then the situation that they made several laws, created several boards. One of them is PENCOM, who then help you manage this pool. Sometimes they invest them in stocks, but mostly they steal it. And the people who are managing the pension deductions from these officers are doing better than the people whose pensions they are managing. An average staff at Police Pension Limited, what they call the NPF Limited, which is a private company, it's a limited liability company formed by Nigerian police, but have people who are nominated by the top echelons of the police managing them. These people are living large. In fact, it is only in Nigeria that a person was accused of stealing police funds, and it was, I think, the biggest amount of corruption that has ever been done to any pension. And he was given a slap on the wrist. He's now a free man. But the policemen from whom they deduct these pensions and that what is now later called gratuity, the lump sum where they are paid, live in penury, to the extent that as soon as most policemen retire from work or retire from active duty, they die because they have nothing to look up to or live on. And you have instances where policemen are paid 20,000 naira per month as pension. Sometimes they don't even pay them for a year after retirement, so they don't get paid this money. So this is why we are interested. But the struggle is not just about retired policemen, it's also about serving policemen who we owe a duty to live well in our society. You cannot ask somebody to be protecting a bank that disburses or deals in billions and billions of naira, and the policeman who is helping you guard the bank is living in penury, and the people who own the bank are living in luxury. And this is where I just personally think it's counterintuitive and stupid that we just ignore these issues. And I'm glad that the policemen themselves have organized themselves underground to start fighting for this. Part of the problem that the policemen have is that, unlike other workers, they cannot unionize, so they cannot engage in what we call collective bargaining, which is to go to their employers and say, we are not doing well, increase our salaries. They are not allowed to do that. But in other countries, police are allowed to unionize. In the US, there are police unions. and they can engage in collective bargaining. They can fight for their workers, even when their workers if their members have problems. They will get lawyers to help them, and they are part of the people who influence policy. So it is just unbelievable that we are living in a society where we ignore the people who are most important to us in terms of our well-being and safety. These people we're talking about are in other ways referred to as public safety officers, because without policemen, I don't think anybody can leave their house. The senator can't leave his house, the president cannot leave his house, the vice president, the governors. No one can function in a society without police. It will become a lawless and chaotic society. So that is what we must recognize, because what you hear from people when I say I'm fighting for police is that not the same police that broke your nose? Are they not the same people that shot at you with a riot gun? Are not the same ones who drag you on the ground all the time? But that's not the issue. The issue is that beside what is wrong, which we always fight against, we must also ensure that we do right by these people who are in the police force. And this, by the way, applies to others who may not be in the police force, who are in the same condition. And we're using the police as a symbolic gesture to fight for everybody who are in the security forces. Maybe it's the army, civil defense, police, navy, air force, everybody that might be out there looking after us, whether inside the water, in the air, on the ground. And these are brothers and sisters who are risking their life and limbs for our betterment and for our safety. Should be people we pay absolute attention to. If we need to fight them for their excesses, you can trust I don't need to prove any point that I know how to fight the police. Yes.
Okay, sir, you made mention of something that's it's common knowledge, especially in Nigeria. Politicians, people say they are overpaid. But from what we know is that these people are deliberately paid well to avoid corruption. That is why these public servants, the politicians, are paid very well compared to police officers. Now, I want to say something. Do you think that police brutality, police misconduct is tied to how they are being paid?
No, I don't think so. I think police brutality has to do with a systemic problem, and some of it is even colonial. You must look at what the police in Nigeria is about, how they came about. It was a colonial structure that was used to enforce colonial policies. And when the colonial masters left, they just left with us a police force that was here to use force to enforce discipline, to enforce and obtain compliance from people, whether they like it or not. So that one has to do with institutional mentality of the Nigerian police. But I believe that if they are well paid, we can get them to do better. There's no question about that. Because politicians are well paid, but they're still corrupt, they're still brutal, they're still wicked. So payment is not the only incentive that is needed to obtain the best conduct and behavior from public officers. I think transparency, I think oversight, I think regulations and discipline are issues that we have to look at. But overall, leadership is also a major factor. We do not have leaders at any level who can make things work in this country. So if you like, you can pay the police what you pay a senator. If we don't have a society where there's rule of law, where there is accountability, where people can be held to account and be made to understand there are consequences for their excesses and abuse and misconduct, you will still have these problems. So those are two. I want to separate that. But I'm saying that you can get effective policing, though, if police are well paid, if they are well equipped, if policemen are taken care of. I think they can take better risk than they are taking now, and they can be disciplined. Of course, it ties. We go back to leadership at the end of the day. But these ones are essential. These are very realistic ways of looking at how we can get effective policing. And I don't think we are doing anybody a favor by saying you should pay the police. We're already seeing a society where our inability to effectively incentivize our police has become a very dangerous, lawless, and chaotic society. because policemen are not motivated to even fight crime anymore. They have become the crime that they are supposed to be fighting against. Out sometimes because of survival.
This is sad. I interviewed somebody recently. He was an ex-Nigerian soldier. He left because of treatment by the Nigerian army and salary. As at the time he was there, I think his salary was less than 50,000 naira. And this is really sad. Somebody leaving his family, leaving his comfort to go fight, and he's risking his life. He's being underpaid. So this is exactly what Mr. Sowore says he's standing for. And a lot of people don't see it that way. Now, Mr. Sowore, we've had a long conversation. What practical steps are you taking right now with all that is available to you to ensure that Nigerian police get the voice that they deserve? What are those practical steps? Are you protesting? Are you planning to start a protest? How do you intend to engage young Nigerians to see the reason why police officers should be well paid attention to?
I think it's directly we are mobilizing for a protest that's to take place on July, or to start on July 21st, 2025. And also we're doing a lot of public education and awareness. We are raising consciousness, not only with the public, but even policemen for themselves, who are clearly afraid that if they take a general position, they might risk, they might risk their job, and they might lose their liberty from their bosses. So, but let me say something which is important. I noticed that the people who benefit the most from police protection, whatever is left of police protection, are not saying anything about the plight of the police. I.e., that is to say, politicians who can't go anywhere, even the toilet, without police protection. Celebrities who have the highest number of supporters, good amount of ability to voice concerns about police welfare, they are not acting interested. And yet, there's no celebrity in this country these days that I see without some of the best police that don't exist for the rest of the country exist for them. They will equip them. They look like U.S. Naval SEALs whenever they are following celebrities. But I've not found a single celebrity talk about the condition of these policemen. But they can't even go out to do their shows and make a living without the police following them. I've not seen religious leaders who pray to God for protection but always rely on police for the real protection, even pray for the police in the hour of need. I've not seen members of the society, the elites, in the banking sector. There's no bank in Nigeria that don't need police protection. Not only do they have to stand in front of the banks because of criminals who might loot or break into these banks, but policemen have to follow bullion vans. And one of the easiest ways to die in Nigeria is to be a policeman accompanying a bullion van. They get waylaid all the time and they get massacred by hardened criminals. The banks are not talking about them. What they all believe is that since they are paying them special rates to get their protection, they don't need to care about them. But you think about it, how much are you paying the policeman at the end of the day? And for every police protection you get, the person who gets the biggest amount of the court is their bosses who send them to protect you. They don't get anything from it. I've heard from policemen who are guarding big people, and they will prefer to give their leftover food to their dogs than allow the policemen who are standing in front of their houses eat or even give them water. That's the experience of these policemen, and yet they are part of society. So it's important to let them know that it will be unconscionable to keep quiet and be silent in a hour of need of the police that you need so much. It shows that you're just using their services, you don't love them. And I'm not gaslighting them. It is the truth. It's that this is the time that everybody ought to step up and fight for the police. Because when we needed to fight against the police, all of us came out and fought against the police, including celebrities who the police were protecting. They fought against the police. They were loud. We all went out against the police during NSAS. And a lot of police formations were attacked. A lot of police officers were attacked during that period for engaging in unwholesome and very unprofessional acts of extortion, of extrajudicial killing, torture, and all the things we complain about during NSAS. But this is now our opportunity to end suffering for the police. And everywhere is eerily quiet, including the people who use the police the most. I don't have a police person protecting me. I do use them when I want to go for campaigns, but it is not a reason for me not to, get involved in this. And if there's anybody who has had the most amount of police issues, it'll probably be me. They've been coming after me since 1992 when I first got involved in public protests at the University of Lagos. And they've been beating me up since then. They ruffle me up everywhere. They try to extort money from me. They've shot at me. They've done a lot of things to me. They've framed me up. As I speak with you, the police, Inspector General of Police, got my passport seized. So I haven't been able to travel since December of 2024. But here I am, happily working for my conscience, ensuring that anybody that's a citizen of this country get a fair share of the Commonwealth. I'm for shared prosperity.
Wait, why did the police seize your passport? Is this something you want to talk about here?
Well, one of the problems with police is leadership. And in 2024 August, we did what was known as End Bad Governance protest. And the IG of police was supposed to have retired in August of 2024, but he refused to leave because he was a crony of the president. And I started campaigning against him in a campaign that I refer to as Egbeto Kumosko. That's his last name. And I think in February he got me arrested, tried me summarily before a court, and used a judge to seize my passport as a condition for bail. And each time I went to court after then, the judge would not sit because the interest was to seize my passport. Yes.
So you've not been able to travel to go see your family?
I have not been able to travel since December of 2024. And each time I go back to court, I have another court date coming on July 21st, I think. But I've already been informed that the judge will not be in court because he would have started his vacation. So he knowingly gave me a date that he knew that he would not be in court. And this is probably the fourth or fifth time that he will fail to show up in court to discuss the release of my passport. So this is coming from the Nigerian Police Force. The guys who arrested me, the guys who drove me to prison or detention that night, they are the people we are fighting for today. But that's not the issue. My issue is not revenge or vendetta. My issue is to have a society that works for everybody, regardless of whether they hate me or like me.
Wow. So, brothers and sisters, you've heard it yourself. Even if we've seen many viral videos of Sowore confronting these police officers, he's still one person who is standing up for their welfare. Some of you, your parents work in the Nigerian Police Force and you can tell how life is for you. I'm sure you understand very well where Mr. Sowore is coming from. A lot of police officers are underpaid. Some of them overwork, and sometimes these people are not well taken care of, even after
they have no life insurance. They don't have allowances when they are not supposed to work. Even when they are transferred from one place to the other, they don't pay them for transfer allowances that they used to get. They don't have health insurance. They no longer have police clinics. They no longer have police schools that they used to have, functioning ones. Maybe there are still a few left. They don't have accommodation. I don't know if you've ever been to a police barrack these days. They are the worst place, the worst habitat for any human being in this country. And they are now selling even the barracks to very powerful and connected politicians and their cronies and their friends and children. So there is nothing there for the Nigerian, an average policeman, that you will find, for instance, in other jurisdictions where policemen welfare and well-being are a priority. In other places, they even buy uniform for police. They have haircut allowances to cut their hair and trim their beards. They give them guns, they give them walkie-talkies, they give them in New York, for instance, where I lived for a long time. The provision is for 2 policemen per vehicle. One the driver, and then there's another one who is manning the computer, and then the back of the car is a temporary holding place for a detainee. But here, look at how our police, they don't even have they don't have buses anymore. They don't have police vehicles in any, DPOs don't even get paid the allowances that are meant for taking care of the police station, and those ones are 30,000 naira per month.
Are you serious? Allowance to take care of a police station?
The entire state police command, the allowances for taking care of police commands across the country is 4 million naira per quarter, which is about 1.1 million naira. What do you do with that in a state like Lagos, for instance? So you are left with policemen just out there trying to get whatever they can. That's why they engage in corruption and extortion for themselves. There is a popular saying amongst policemen that get your retirement benefits before you retire. And that's another name for bribery, corruption, and extortion. So they just have to survive in this society. And there are some of them that don't get paid on time, if they get paid at all. So, and they have bosses who are living large. Some of the richest people in Nigeria are police officers. They own estates because they are able to abuse their positions to engage in massive corruption and make money. So, but the interesting thing is that there are 210,000 policemen in Nigeria. It's 210,000 policemen in Nigeria. So Nigeria is under-policed. If you divide 210,000 by 230 million people, our official population, you know that we are completely under-policed. That would be like one policeman to maybe, is that 100,000 people or 10,000 people? I'm not good at maths, but we're under-policed. But officially, which is another problem, the police management is claiming that there are 350,000 policemen. And somehow, somebody is collecting money of policemen that don't exist, what is known popularly as ghost workers. So there's a lot that needs to happen, but first and foremost, let's take care of our police, ensure that we give them what they want, so that we can demand of them what we want from them. Yes.
I think that is something we all have to think about. Give them what they deserve, and then we can now confidently demand of them what we desire from them. Thank you so much, sir, for this interview session. We are going to be doing a couple of interviews today. Mr. Sowore has given me his time, which I am so grateful for. A new party was formed in Nigeria. I'm sure some of you have heard of it, the coalition. I'm curious to know why Mr. Sowore did not join them. I want to also talk about fuel price in Nigeria. Nigerians have come to accepted fuel price for what it is, 900 naira per liter. How did we even come to this point? They claim that subsidy was ruining the country and they took it away from us. And from my perspective, subsidy is the only thing Nigerians benefit from. A newborn child benefits from it. Those in rural communities benefit from it. Do you understand me? So this is something that every Nigerian benefits from. Not everybody goes to public school. Not everybody visits public health care. So we are going to be talking about that. Stay tuned. Make sure you are subscribed to the Lucky Udu Experience if you do not want to miss our interview sections. And if you are watching my video for the first time, please follow up if you don't want to miss these other interviews. God bless you so much. Thank you very much, sir. God bless you, and bye.